Good morning, everybody out there in hockey land. It's your buddy Chop It On coming at you with another episode of Chop Talk, NHL style, brought to you by the one, the only, DFSArmy.com, your one-stop shop for all things daily fantasy sports, MMA to PGA. We've got you covered, NFL to NBA. We've got you covered, coaching, tools, content, everything from top to bottom to make you a better player. What you need to do is you need to become a VIP by going down to the comments section, clicking the link, DFSArmy.com, using coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P, for that 10% off discount. While you're down there, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and ring the little notification bell so you get every little video that I come on. If you're not following out on Twitter, my pinned tweet is now the DFS Diary. That is an updated daily content piece that is going to link you to everything that I produce throughout the week. We'll reset it on Monday. We'll keep rolling all the way. NFL, NBA, NHL, anything that I do, any video that I do, you're going to get it right then and there. Any strategy talk I do, sometimes guest posts, guest videos. We've interviewed a 100K winner that we had in NFL last week. Our CEO did that. We've also put out a couple of ladder system articles, strategy, timeless pieces that'll be in that video chain every single week, and we're going to link you to related content out on the website that we think you'll find interesting. So follow that pinned tweet, retweet it, retweet my pinned tweet, and you get entered into a sweepstakes that will give you a free December if you're the lucky winner. We're going to open up 2 here shortly. I've got a lot of people signing up for the DFS Lite tools only option, which is great, but it doesn't give you access to the coaching and the VIP stuff. I need one more VIP, not light, VIP member to jump in there, and I'll unlock a second comped month for the month of December. So once again, go down into the comment section, dfsarmy.com, and click the link and become a VIP today, and we just might open up that second spot, giving you another chance to win. What we're going to do today is we're going to dive into the NHL content 14-game slate, and I'm going to show you the fastest way on earth to break down an NHL slate and select your player pool. We got a huge game. We got to cut the fluff. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to start with the implied team totals. If you're not over a 3 or over like a 2.9, 2.95, I don't want you. I don't need you. Now again, we can talk more about tournaments and we can talk more about in-depth stuff inside our coaching channels, inside DFSArmy.com to our VIPs. But this is the fastest way to get you cutting the fluff and getting right to the meat and potatoes of the slate. We've got to draw lines in the sand. You've only got 9 spots on your roster. You can't roster any duds. We're going to play the odds, and instead of pick a team that's only implied to score 2.6 goals on the night, when I've got another team that's going to score 3.7, I'm going to go with the odds and stay in those higher scoring games. Vegas is typically ahead of the game when it comes to that stuff. They get paid millions of dollars to be that way, and you and I can use that knowledge or use that experience to cut our research time down very, very quickly. So again, I'm not that interested in Montreal tonight. There could be a value play one-off here or there, but that's not what I'm looking at just yet. I want you to write these down with me. I'm going to show you step by step how I do this. So don't write this name down. You might write down the New Jersey Devils, maybe. Okay, and we'll talk about greens and stuff like that another time. Hot, cold, red, green, all that stuff another time. But 2.90 maybe makes the cut. Toronto Maple Leafs, 3.7. There's a 3 right there, right? And a 3 here. So write down both Carolina and Toronto. I'm writing them down with you. Carolina, Toronto. Those are teams that we're going to want to pay attention to. 2.86 New York, 3.14 New York Rangers. Writing them down. Now, in case you're wondering where this is the NHL Research Station right here. And I'm down here in the line combos tab. Instead of looking at today's games, I could do it there too. I'm looking at the line combos tab. I'm going to go goalies and skaters here in about 2 minutes, and we're going to blow your minds. Dallas Stars, low scoring. Pittsburgh Penguins, 2.98. I'm putting Pitt on the list. They've just got, Malkin and Crosby and these guys. Is Crosby even back? This will be interesting to see. We need to follow that news. I think he was sitting out for quite a while, and we had Malkin slide up to the top line. 2.39, and I don't need to pay attention to much of this. Washington Capitals, write them down. I don't need to pay attention to a ton of this because I'm using numbers to point me in the right direction. Yes, I'll get to know the league as I pay attention to the numbers. 2.93 Florida, probably not. 3.58 Tampa Bay, definitely. Write them down. Philadelphia, 2.93, maybe not. And you're really splitting hairs. 2.93, 3.07, you're really splitting hairs. You want to really avoid the guys with like under 2.8, 2.7, stuff like that. If your favorite team's Philly and they're not quite on the list, fine, throw them on the list. You're not going to hear me complain. Buffalo amazingly makes the list. That's immediately going to turn my eyes to Skinner, to Jeff Skinner. And I'll show you why, hopefully, in the skater section. Boston Bruins barely missed the list. Detroit Red Wings definitely not on the list, other than maybe a one-off play here or there. Ottawa Senators, and this is for 1 or 2 or 3 lineup building. I'm not talking about building 150 and going MME with the stuff. 2.2, not going to make my list. 3.78 will definitely make my list. In fact, I think Minnesota's high on the slate. I will probably circle them and hopefully key on them. Take a second or a third skater out of their Blues. Not implied to score a ton. Sucks. That's my team. 3.21 Nashville. Yeah, I wouldn't play anybody going up against Nashville typically. Number 1 defensive team in the league. 2.83 Vegas, no. Coyotes, no. Winnipeg Jets should be on the list. Yes. 3.04, 3.02 for Calgary too. There's a potential shootout on paper. Vancouver Canucks, no. Anaheim Ducks, no. Colorado, so I'm shocked they're not on the list. I'm actually shocked Colorado's not on the list. Well, so there you go. There's your 14 games. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 teams written down. That should be enough. That's why we can forego some of those others. If I just completely ignore those others in a cash type scenario, 50-50s, triple ups, things like that, I'm typically not going to hurt myself. It's not like all those other low scoring games are suddenly going to go off and all of the high scoring games are going to suddenly dud out and I'm going to completely screw myself across the slate. That hardly ever happens. It does happen. It is hockey. It's volatile, but it hardly ever happens. So I can start right there. These are the teams I'm keying on. I may see some one-offs. I may see some stuff somewhere else that I will be open-minded to, but as for right now, these teams, I want these players on my list. So I click over to the goalie tab. And I'm going to be looking for projected points and value. And I play DK or Fanduel. If you play DK DraftKings, you're going to be looking at the other columns. That's fine. Okay? Doesn't matter. And I'm going to be watching the salary as well. So I look at 33 insane projected 33 points for Freddie Anderson. He's probably my top goalie, so I'm writing him down. 3.79 value is ridiculously stupid. If he realizes that number, man, you are set up very, very well on the slate. Now, Braden Holtby, 8,600. I'd probably pay up 300 more for Anderson and get those 7 points if I can, right? 7,700, 7,400. Now you're getting my attention. This would be a value savings. For cash games, I'm not trying to hit the nut goalie on the slate. I'm trying to hit the safest goalie on the slate, the guy who's most likely going to get me my points, my 20 points or whatever, and I can get out of it. And it doesn't work very often in hockey. I mean, they're fluky. It just doesn't. But that's what we're trying to do. And I'm going to look at Domingue if I pronounced it right, and I'm going to look at Peterson. Sure hope I pronounced that one right. Because these guys are bringing mega value for cheap prices, they're going to allow me some more expensive skaters. Freddie Anderson should, if all goes according to plan, Freddie Anderson knocks out the slate and these two guys are right behind him. That $1,000 to $1,200 to $1,300 savings is huge for me in what it might be able to gain me an upside somewhere else. Hockey's a funny sport. You hear me say it all the time. The studs can get you a 0 and the punts can go off for a hat trick. So sometimes it doesn't matter. Salary is not as important here, but I do like to pay up for more consistent players where I can, where I can see it. Where do I find them? New feature to the research station. We scroll over here and I've already sorted this out. Last 10 games, FanDuel average fantasy points. Sort by descending. And what we're going to do is we're going to monitor the 10-game sample size against the 5-game sample size. And I want guys that are rising. I want guys that are 5-game sample sizes are above their 10-game. I would like a little bigger sample. We'll work on that, whether it be season or last 40 or last 20 games or whatever. I would like a little bit bigger sample size. And like I said, we'll add that in as this spreadsheet, this monster, continues to evolve and grow. But I've sorted out by last 10 games as my base. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to start breaking up my position list. I'm going to click the center. Okay, and I'm going to start writing these guys down just to show you really quickly what I'm looking at. I've got a goalie list here, and I do this on pen and paper, but I can't show you pen and paper in this screencast, so I had to create this a little bit ahead of time for you. These are my goalies. These are the top 5 centers. These are the top 5 wings, top 5 defenders. In terms of last 10 games, fantasy points scored, average points scored on FanDuel. Okay, I'm starting to make lists like this. Along with this list, it allows me to do a couple of things. It allows me to write their salaries right next to it, and I don't write 8,900. I write like 8.9. See what I'm saying? And then I'm going to write down that, and I can start seeing who's high on this list and underpriced compared to what else is up here with him. And then I can put little underlines, check marks, highlight, whatever I want to do on my own sheet of paper and start drawing up my plays, and I can get my priority plays off of that. I wish I could show you that part of my process, but I can't. I haven't figured out a way to do that yet. What I'm going to show you, though, is how to at least get that started by making it look like this. And I'm going to take maybe on a big slate like today, 10 to 20 people per position, because I'm going to try and get a mix of high price and low price guys. I'm going to need some value guys in this list somewhere. I don't know where. Am I going to find them at defense or center? I don't know. But I start off with the center list, and I know I'm sorted out by these are only centers. If I want to, I can take third and fourth line off by holding the control button down, click that, hold the control button down, click that, and these will disappear. I'll only be dealing with line 1 and 2 centers. I can click the X off and only be dealing with guys that have power play time. There's a different bunch of ways I can filter this spreadsheet out and get it down to the player pool I want to see. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to dive over here. Again, you can look at the season stats, but we don't have the Fanduel points on there yet. So really and truly, all I need to see is the Fanduel points right now. This method works. And I'm going to pay attention to, okay, Sidney Crosby, Nathan McKinnon, Monahan, Duquesne, Scheifele, Tavares, Eichel, Domi, Couturier, Point, Larkin, Seguin. See, Larkin's a Detroit one-off that I may or may not use. Seguin. Why am I getting that one backwards? Stamkos, Pedersen, Getzlaf, Backstrom, Koivu, Minnesota. It's going to be on the list. Barkov, Hayes, Zib, whatever. Okay, so we're down into this general area of centermen that we might use tonight. Who is running above? These are the guys. Who's running above? Whose 5-game average is running above? So I've got a 21 for Sidney Crosby, 16. That's a no. 19 versus a 20. That's a no. 19 versus a 20. That's a no. 28 versus, what is that, 20? So Duquesne already has a 20-point average, and he's running 28 over his last 5. So Duquesne becomes one of my favorite center plays tonight, period, end of story. 25 over a 20. Okay, so really and truly anything over about 18, 19 at this point. So 20, Scheifele. Write him down as a prioritized pick. 20, Tavares. And yeah, they're going to be expensive guys. 17 over 18, no. 15 over 17, no. 19 over 17, yes. Couturier in Philly. 21. Is that Point? Braden Point. And that brings up something for you. Well, Stamkos isn't on the list. I got him confused with Tavares. I was going to say, if you see 2 centermen from the same team on this list, you want to get unique in tournaments, throw both of them on there. They're both hot. They're both 5-game running over their 10 games, and you use both your center spots with the same team. Nobody else does that. We call it hashtag double C's. We like double C's and double D's inside DFS Army. Imagine that. And yeah, your mind can go in the gutter on that because that's the funny punny part of why we like to tease about that. 21 for Braden Point. Dylan Larkin, 12. That's dropped off. 17 over 15. Seguin on the list. Tyler Seguin on the list. Although Dallas was scheduled to see 8, I can automatically skip him. 10, skip him. 16 over 14. Backstrom. See how I'm doing this? Who else would be on the list? Koivu, definitely. Who else would be on the list? Barkov, definitely. Down here, maybe you would run down as far as Brock Nelson, Sebastian Aho. Okay? And that about rounds out your centers. You've got plenty of them to choose from. Let's run over here really quick. Let's see who's on the teams that we're targeting. And let's see their prices. Let's look at their prices. So they're already Duquesne, 6,600. Why would I pay 8,400 for Crosby when I got 6,600 for a guy who's running over his 10-game average and he's $2,000 less value? Just spotted that in what, we're at 14 minutes, right? And Duquesne is on Ottawa. We're not targeting Ottawa tonight, so that sucks. That might be a little dink in what we're looking at. We did put Pittsburgh on the list. Colorado did not make the list. Calgary did make the list, so we're still looking at these. Ottawa, Winnipeg, Scheifele is definitely on the list. So Scheifele just under Duquesne, 8,100 versus 8,600, a little bit of value there. Tavares, Toronto, 8,500. I would take Scheifele over Tavares for the savings. I'm looking, but when I do that, if I still want Toronto, I'm thinking of, okay, so now I'm not probably taking, I might look for the line 2 center. I might look for a defenseman like Riley. I might look for a wing like Marner or something like that and see if they also pop the list. If they pop the list, I can get my Toronto exposure there, and I can take the better exposure through my center, the better value, the better price per production value was Scheifele. Or Eichel, Buffalo did make the list, didn't they? Buffalo is on our list. So Eichel should be on there. He's probably L5, not running over his L10. Probably why I didn't write him down. We didn't write down Domi. Didn't write Couturier, 6,100. And Philly is, of course, not on the list. See, this is what's going to narrow you down to 2 or 3 or 4 centers that you really, really, really like because they check all of the boxes. They're, implied to score a lot of points. Their L5 is running over their L10. They're priced down compared to their matchup. They're on a team that you're targeting tonight. These are the types of things that you're looking for, and it narrows down that list. What do we got? 100 centermen across the league, and we've narrowed it down to maybe 2 or 3 that we like right now? Tampa Bay, Braden Point. Made the list. Tampa Bay's on our. There's another one, and at 7,000, he's cheaper than even. He's not cheaper than Duquesne, but he's cheaper again than Crosby and McKinnon and those guys. See how we're doing this? You've got to do the work, though. You've got to dig through this list and go find these guys. Pedersen, did he make the list? Is his L5 over his L10? Maybe not. But if so, and we're not really targeting Vancouver tonight anyway, but at 5,900, it sure would be nice. Okay, I try to stay out of those $8,000 players where I can and stay in the low to mid sixes wherever I can and find the Duquesnes and find the Couturiers and find the points and whatever and try to stick to those numbers the best I can so that I can get as many of those guys on my team as I possibly can. I'm not wasting money up top and I don't have to punt. So if I do the wings, and then we'll wrap this up really quick with these couple of positions, I'm doing the same thing, right? These are my L10s. These are all sorted by my L10s. So when I come back over here, all I'm going to be doing is focusing on the guys whose L5s are over their L10s. 18 over 20, no. 18 over 20, no. 14, no. 19.5 is the same. Hoffman, write him down. Same is just as good. And if you see a 19, like let's say these numbers are reversed, and this 19 and 18.7 were reversed, and 18.7 is over here. It's 0.3 away. If you like the guy, put him on your list. Let's not be too rigid in what we do. Let's leave a little bit open for interpretation. But 19, Ratanen's going on the list. I guess we're not targeting Colorado necessarily, but Ratanen's going on the list. 25, running balls ass hot. Pasternak. Not targeting Boston tonight, but they almost made those. Were they like a 2.92 in ITT? So you can throw them on as a one-off if you want to use them. 21 over 18, Marner. There's your Toronto guy. Let's look really quickly at Marner and see how he's priced compared to some of these other guys up on this list. Marner, 7,600. He beats the 8,400. There's some cheaper guys up in here. So maybe we have to wait on Marner. And maybe we don't get any value out of the Toronto game. In which case we would save the Toronto game for GPPs because we know they can go off, but our value might be in Minnesota. And we need to focus there for cash. We may not always be able to roster Pittsburgh and Washington and Toronto because they're priced too high. They're not bringing us value. What we need to do is create a roster that brings so much value to us that we no longer have to worry about, the rest of the team. It's underpriced. So if it just produces, it smashes all those guys that overpaid. If you went to the Mercedes or the BMW dealership and I'm driving up in my Ford or my Dodge, I might still whip your ass because I've got so much in reserve, so much fantasy production built up based on the price that I paid. I got everything on sale. I've got more money in my pocket to take my lady out for a nice dinner. Now, if you're one of those guys that just overspends like crazy, then go take your lady out to a nice dinner in your Lamborghini. But we've got a salary cap that doesn't typically allow that in NHL. So looking down here some more hot guys. Patrick Laine, 18 over 18, 14, 18.5 for Ovechkin. Wow, he's not on the list all that often. A little boomer bust, but he's been playing well lately. 24, Kyle Connor, 24 L5 over his 17 L10. Kyle Connor, Winnipeg, Scheifele, Connor. Bing, bing. 20.6 here. Who's that? Kreider. 20.6 here. Anastasiou. Dylan Larkin and Anastasiou both. They might be riding their L5s and their L10s off the recent stint that the Detroit Red Wings were on, but they might be worth a one-off. They're going to probably be cheap. Looking down here, there's a 21 in Phil Kessel. You might overpay for a Kessel tonight and take your exposure there in Pittsburgh. 22.9 down here, Hornquist, same thing. In fact, Hornquist is pretty cheap. 5,900. There's your Pittsburgh exposure right there. So we kick over to defense and we do it again. And I know he's not going to be on our list because we're not targeting Ottawa right now, but Chabot is just raging against the machine right now. So when Chabot has a 12.2, he's fallen off his 20, but he's still underpriced. 12.2, you'd probably still take it. That's another way you can look at this. Probably still take it. Roman Josi, he's not producing L5 over L10 right now. Morgan Riley is close, 17.4 versus 18. That might be your Toronto exposure. Giordano down a little bit. There's one that might be up a little bit. And Matt Dumba, boom, value. Minnesota, we love Minnesota tonight. Dumba, that might be where I start. That might be the very first guy I lock into my lineup tonight, and then go after like a Kyle Connor or a Scheifele or somebody like that, or a Duquesne. Something like that. 17.3. Tyson Berry in Colorado. If Colorado was on the list, we'd be really keen on him. But if you love Colorado tonight, take him as a one-off. Run him with Rantanen. Berry and Rantanen's a nice little mini stack. And it's probably still cash viable, even though it looks like it's a little bit overpriced for its production. Right now, 15.3 for Petrie. He's coming up. Petrie's always a cheap guy. Cheap guy, high floor. 15.9. Mike Green. Detroit again. Woo, they're popping. 14, John Carlson, 12, probably too pricey. 13.5, 13.5, Gothtspear, there's a Philly guy again. 17.3, Orloff, Washington exposure if you want it. 16 for Sebastian Aho again, that's wrong. 16 for Brandon Montour, that's going to be a cheap guy. Let's take a look at Montour. We're not targeting Anaheim. But these would be one-offs. These would be guys that we're looking for again. Okay, so do you see how we ran through this list? Let's go ahead and cut the video off today, though. You've got your player pool set. You've got, on a 14-game slate, we spent 20 minutes, and I took my time showing you exactly how I do it, exactly how I write these down. This, I don't worry so much about stacking with cash. I don't worry so much about, I mean, I do a little where I can, but on 14 games, I got way too many games to target. I don't want to be too overexposed to any one game that duds on me, because then somebody else is going to catch me. I'm going to balance myself out. I'm going to maybe overlap a little bit on power plays in case I get lucky, but I'm going to focus more on line 1 and line 2 if I do take 2 guys from one team, or forward and defense so that defense gets exposure to the other lines. Those are the ways that I'm going to do that. I'm not going to stack. Now in GPPs, I'm going to definitely stack. But what I'm going to do in GPPs is I'm going to come back and I'm going to start cutting out my teams. And I'm going to look at who's on the slate. It's a 4-game slate and it's got these 8 teams on it. I'm going to click, and then I'm going to, when this adjusts, I'm going to come back and I'm going to hold the control key down and go click, 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 click. And I'm going to take those 8 teams, whoever they are, and I'm going to cut that list down to just showing those, and I'm going to rerun my process all over again. Then I'm going to look to stack. I'm going to look to compile the lines together, focus on 1 or 2 offenses, and hope I get lucky. And that's how I'm going to build my GPPs tonight. I'm going to worry a little bit less. I'm still going to be using the L5s and the L10s like I showed you over here, but I'm going to be focused more on correlating those points, going 3x3 or 4x3 or something like that, and really stack those teams up and hope to really hit something that goes over 200 points. I don't need 200 points to hit a 50-50 or a triple up. I need about 150. I need to hit my goalie, and I need to have good production across everybody, as opposed to stacking and really focusing my production and getting lucky with 4 goals off of 1 line where I get all the assists and all the goals. That's a GPP move. So there's a difference. We'll talk more about that later, but we got a 14-game slate. I got to get this out. We're bumping up on 24 minutes. We're going to do NBA content next. We're going to do some NFL stuff here in a little bit, and I'm going to walk you through today in DFS Diary. If you get into that, find that on dfsarmy.com. You're going to get access to all of the content that I produce in separate little bitty modules, if you will, and we're going to see how this content works. I like the idea, I like the structure, but you've got to be a VIP to unlock everything, and then ask me the questions for the feedback in the coaching channels, or get access to the other experts in the coaching channels that can then guide you. I'm not a great NBA guy. I'm not a great NFL guy, but I've got 5 or 6 guys that are, and I can connect you with them and get your game headed in the right direction, in a positive direction, so that we turn you into a profitable player. But to do that, you've got to join dfsarmy.com. You've got to use coupon code CHOP for 10% off for life. Or if you just want to try us for a month and then recontemplate what you want to do, on Black Friday, we're going to have a 1-day or possibly a 3-day coupon. Black Friday, BLACKFRIDAY, one word, Black Friday. That will trigger 25% off your first month as a DFS Army member. So you might hold off for that after you stuff your faces with some turkey, come back in, trigger the 25% off discount. That will be a 1-month discount code so you can try us before you buy us. Or if you just know you like what you want to see and you want the 10% off permanently, coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P. I'll put both in the comment section. Like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and come back in a little bit. We're going to do NBA next, and then we'll do NFL. I'll guide you around the website. We'll set you up for Turkey Day so that you can get all of your research knocked down as quickly as possible. Thanks for tuning in. Come back and see me here in a few minutes. Take care, guys.